Well, hello everyone. You here show you the Grand Theft Auto, Paragas City, coloring right here. As you say right here, is that knowing about this title that we had picked out. Of course, it could be also known as like what you call like for packages, packages city or anything like that. But you have right here for Paragas City, and of course it could be also be maybe be known as Paragas, Paragas City or if it, or Paragas, Paragas City. But other than that, it's like you have right here. It's like the details that I went ahead and drew right here. It's like for the helicopter, and of course you got here is the main character, and of course right here is a subway car. It is, and if most of us game players have played the game, Grand Theft Auto. It's like if we played, you say, Vice City, Grand Theft Auto 3, Liberty City Stories, and of course, San Andreas, and of course, if we've ever played other game, like episodes from Liberty City. I don't have all the GTA games, of course, but of course, like Paragus City will be like what you call as like a name title that I would came up with. But if anybody were to think about, it's like if whenever we play the game, is that knowing about that. If we were to be playing during the gameplay, it is that like, well, it's that really is the game really about teaching us about how to how to be say killers, or how to steal, how to rob banks, it is, or if it's about the fact about that yeah, about learning to do the basic side jobs. It is like I say ambulance driver, and more likely that anybody would probably think about that whenever I first started playing the game. It was that that I can remember that whenever I first started playing the game, that I can remember that I was ambulance driver for say that played the game. It was, and if I can remember, I did taxi driver too. But anyway, but one of the things, of course, about the game, during gameplay, I'm sure anybody probably think about it, that whole part about the game was the fact about, it's like where you can spend say a few dozen or maybe a couple of hours at least, of entertainment. And a lot of people probably thinking about that, yeah, that whenever if you were to play the game, it is, that it's all about the fact about, people probably think about go out and say that you would want to break the law. You want to steal a car and then ram into cause problems, of course. You cause trauma, of course, with the city cops. It is cause trouble with the city cops, or if it's or maybe a chance of robbing, going out and robbing a bank, and getting busted, the stuff like that, stealing the cop cars. If I can remember right, that whenever I was in high school, it was whenever I was very young, that a lot of people probably think about that whenever that game first came out, that it was like that somebody was talking about that they had about 2 hours of fun with it, something like that, because they were allowed to. It's like during the gameplay, it was that they were to beat up the police. It's like beat up the police and beat up the cops, and then take off with the cars, and then from there, and then getting start trauma, of course, with the law. It was, and anybody would probably think about that, a type of game like this, more likely that like I was playing the Liberty City Stories last night, of course, on CDR. I guess to say the other night too, that I was playing the game on there for for about a couple of hours, and Liberty City Stories, and when I seen on the game, it was that knowing about that you have it to where you got like the side jobs, of course, reading the strategy guide. It was, and a lot of times, like a lot of those missions, of course, some of them are quite complicated, and I probably think about on the PlayStation Portable, it is like that, and of course Midnight Club will be like the only games I really have on the PlayStation Portable. And knowing about, since I have Liberty City Stories, and knowing about that you do the missions, and then of course there are some side jobs too, to where I was police, where I would do like what you call vigilante type missions, and then on the other hand too, that whenever I play Grand Theft Auto 3, that it was that I would be an ambulance driver. It was be driving on the streets. It was, and picking up patients, taking them to the hospital. It was, and I remember that I rented this game one time, and then I was like, oh, I like this game. I like to go ahead and get it. And I can remember that I was in the store, and then knowing about that, by the time I was able to get a copy of it, I can remember that that a lot of times if you're going to be buying anything in the store, it is that they have like what you call is like a like a parental control, like anything that tells you that you have to present some type of ID in order to be able to buy games, like that are rated M for mature. It is, but on here too that knowing about with most of these, a whole part about the gameplay really. The way I think about it is basically talking about is that if you would be playing the game, is that really I would really just think it's all about the fun. Of course about the fun, and then just knowing about the different things you can explore about. It's like the city that you're in, and then of course if it's Paragas City, or if it's like what you call is like a any type Montgomery County or anything like that. And the details, of course, that they put into a game to where you can actually go out to the mountain ranges, like on Grand Theft Auto 5, where you can go out to the mountain ranges, and of course operate, to do tractors, maybe do a crane operating job or anything like that, and knowing about the different things that you can explore. And then whenever this game, a lot of the games whenever they came out, especially the Grand Theft Auto games, the Grand Theft Auto series, is that knowing about, a lot of people probably think about that a lot of people whenever they first play the game, it's all about the fact about that, get involved with collecting the guns, and then of course go out shooting people, and then on the other hand too that knowing about going out and shooting say pedestrians, and then stealing cars, and then you're getting involved with robbing banks, and then of course help they driving a bank robber somewhere or whatever it is. But the way I think about it, the whole part about Grand Theft Auto is that knowing about you guy here is I went ahead and used the helicopter right here. Got the helicopter, but the details I went ahead and drew right here for the helicopter is knowing about that whenever Vice City first came out, I can remember that I like to get a helicopter, but then of course you gotta complete this mission, that mission in order to be able to get there. And I can remember driving around say the Vice City area for about 3 hours and getting aggravated. I'm like, where can I find a helicopter? And then I remember that found one at that police station that they had there. But on the hand too, that knowing about that, of course the helicopter part, flying a helicopter, of course was one of the favorites. And knowing about that whenever during the gameplay it was that anything that people probably think about, if it has to do with the maybe subway cars, if it's the subway, it's like maybe the metro cars. It is that if you can actually get on board, say the metro cars, and maybe go over the bridges, and a lot of times. And I would probably think about it with anybody that if you wanted to play the game, it's like for a certain amount of time it was, and knowing about that if you spend so much time on it, really, that a lot of times with some people would say during gameplay it is that knowing about that even though if you could beat the game I guess that there's always something to do in the city. It's like if you were to play the game, and after you beat the game, and of course there'll be side missions, and then of course that finding hidden packages and all that other stuff. But in a lot of ways it's like that, that type of entertainment, more likely people probably thinking about if it's really worth the 30 or 40 or so several dollars just to buy the game, just to play it. And a lot of times it's like that, if you want to play a game that has anything to do with maybe shooting and maybe killing or anything like that, or that's just a part of the game. Of course, since I've been playing, is talking about that some people probably thinking about the whole part about the game, of course, is killing people and stealing, and then of course robbing, and then being a car, stealing cars, and causing problems with the cops, that type of stuff. But the way I would think about it is that hey, it's, some people may think it's a game, but the way I think about it, it's like, really, what do you really learn whenever you play this game? It's like if you're going to be stealing motorcycles or driving around like say some people might see driving around like a maniac around the streets. It is, and just knowing about the hey, it's a like you're going over the speed limit, whichever it is. You just ran a red light, whichever it is. But on the long run too, that I remember that I can still remember that on the Grand Theft Auto 3 it was. It's like people probably now I can remember reading about it. It's like on Grand Theft Auto 3, it's like have you gotta read me over this thing? But other than that, like talking about it's like we're gonna kill you. You can't say that. It's not in the book. I can put your hands in the air right now. We're gonna kill you. You can't say that. You stop immediately. Stop. We have you need to. You're only making things. And then that type of stuff. It's like when the police chopper were to be following you, and then of course you would have like the FBI and of course the army later on. But on the other hand too, that knowing about that we could probably think about it's like I guess you say a game is really the fact about is having fun with it, and of course there are maybe some people that may think about during the gameplay it is that you're going to have your aggravations about the fact about you can't beat a certain level it is, and like you can't beat a certain part say of the game it is, you get aggravated. But a lot of times with almost any other game that people probably think about if you can't beat a certain mission it is, and knowing about it's like you go do another mission, it's like always try it again. I guess basically they say that resets after if you fail the mission the first time, it basically resets and until you pass the mission, and then of course you get reward for it. But a lot of ways the way I think about it, just like I said before about having fun, and of course about if we would think about that most of the jobs that they do have you do on the game, such as paramedic or vigilante or maybe taxi driver it is, or any other type of mission it is, I keep thinking about if they're going to have a mission such as what you say mail delivery or anything like that, or maybe anything related to that where you can photography or anything like that. I know they've had some photography, but on the other hand too, that knowing about is talking about is like photography where you take pictures like for the news media, more likely working for like the news media or something like that. But on the other hand too, that knowing about with Grand Theft Auto, it's like talking about that the people probably thinking about that whenever you first plug the game in, then that you may want to say start trouble with the police, or maybe you say steal a helicopter, steal a boat, whatever it is, steal a bike or a car, anything like that. But on the other hand too, that knowing about with a lot of times that they probably think about the game all matter of having fun, and then on the other hand too, that know about for the enjoyment so far as with the graphics goes. But other than that, like you have right here is like for the pilots and stuff. But on the other hand too, that knowing about Paragas cities and the idea I would have picked up, but knowing about what the whole part about the game idea is knowing about is that where we all learn about the whole game, it's about the fact about it's all about having fun and knowing about no matter maybe if you fail a mission or pass a mission a couple times, maybe they earn enough points but really all matter about having fun, right? So anyway, but so far as for play safe. But other than that, as I talked about for Grand Theft Auto, say Paragas City Killer Activity.